On the Hot Seat, we tackle the toughest business questions, addressing the most pressing issues our business community faces today. We dive into the core of business growth and strategic development. Whether you're launching a startup, managing a growing business, or refining an established enterprise, we're here to provide you insights that you need. Get ready for candid conversations and practical advice that you can implement today. Stay with us and let's grow your business together.
Kristian, Livolsi, it is Tuesday. We are back for the hot seat, and today we are talking all about customers, and I can't wait. How are you going today?
I am feeling fantastic. I can see that this is going to be an absolute banging episode. I don't know why, but every time we talk customers, I go...
I know, right? Anything about people. So let's dive into it. Let's get underway talking all about people. Question for you today, Kristian, is why is being customer-centric crucial for your business success? Why is it so important to focus on the customer?
Is it? I mean, is it really that crucial to focus on the customer? Of course it is, right? In fact, it's vital, right? No, seriously. I think that being customer-centric isn't just about ensuring that customers are satisfied. I think that's where I'm really going with this. It's actually a very strategic approach that places the customer at the core of all business decisions and processes, right? And the reason why it's crucial is because a customer-centric approach actually involves a deep dive into understanding your customers' needs, their preferences, their pain points. And this understanding actually allows you to tailor your products and services, as well as all the user experiences, to meet those needs more efficiently and effectively, right? So it's not just about reacting to the customer's demands, okay? And that's what people mistake. It's actually anticipating them. And this is what sets the really great companies apart from the good companies. The other reasons why it's critical is that when a customer, Simone, feels valued and heard, just like your wife or your husband, right? They are more likely to develop a loyalty to you and your brand, right? Now, this loyalty actually translates into repeat business, or love for that matter, which is more cost effective in the long run. Sorry, I'm tying the two together, but it's quite remarkable because I have this conversation with a lot of our clients, and they're like, Kristian, it's funny how you associate running a business with a relationship and the children, it's and parenting, and look, it's why I always say it's hard. Being a parent is the hardest thing I've ever done, but when I apply the principles of how I run a business, it's actually a lot easier. So, and that's one of the things about building loyalty and love, right? Loyalty and love are the same thing, in my opinion, when you're talking about the two things. So, loyal customers, let's go back to the customers. Loyal customers, often become brand ambassadors, and, we call them raving fans, and they recommend your business to others, which can significantly amplify all your marketing efforts. The other thing that's really important about a customer-centric approach is in industries where products and services are familiar. So if you're in a red ocean, a customer-centric culture can actually be the key differentiator, right? Now, what it offers is a unique value proposition, Simone, that can make your business stand out, not just to customers, but to potential talent. Right, so it's a recruitment function. So being known for excellent customer service can be just as powerful as having a superior product. And when I owned a venue called Exo Supper Club, almost 20 years ago now, we won the Australian Customer Service Awards, not for the industry, like the actual. We competed against the big players, right, like Woolworths and all those. And this little venue won it, but our product was also phenomenal. So we tailor-made everything. This was like the most incredible venue you could put together. It cost 7 figures to build a basically 60-seater. But everything from the wine list to the food menu to the uniforms. They were an Armani jacket, right? But what we did is we put excellent service, like such excellence. And we won almost every award you can think of, from interior design right through to speciality venue of the year in Australia and so forth. Now, all of these things, they're wonderful accolades, but it was all those moving pieces. We had a very customer-centric approach. It wasn't about the food I wanted to put out. It wasn't about the service. It was about all of the things that our customers wanted. And we went and asked them and we anticipated. Okay? So when you have a customer-centric approach, and your business regularly engages with its customers and genuinely considers their feedback, you then become better positioned to adapt to the changing market conditions, but also the customer expectations. And this adaptability can be crucial for survival, especially in a fast-paced industry. Now, you consider that we're going through a very fast, the economy is getting faster and faster and faster. Technology is developing at 4 or 5 times the speed at what it did in 1960. So to think that what we've achieved in technology in 10 years is going to be accelerated by 40 years over the next decade. Now, that's insane for what we have to manage for our children and all the other necessary steps. So imagine what it's going to be like for your business, right? Adopting technology, adopting efficiencies and processes, but listening to your customers. And that leads me to the final part. It's about driving innovation, right? Understanding your customers will drive innovation by identifying their challenges and anticipating their future needs. You can develop new offerings that address, right? And it's really important they address all of those areas. And potentially what you're doing is you're going to capture a blue ocean, a new market, right? Okay. And you're going to achieve it before your competitors. So some of the feedback, some of the steps that I think, and you don't know me, I always love giving people steps. I think if you're listening to this and, all of the 3,972,000 people that aren't watching right now, right? If you're watching this on replay, please just hit replay. And if you are watching, give us a like, give us a little celebration if you agree. Maybe you disagree with a customer-centric approach, write a comment. But I think some of the actionable steps that are really important is implement those regular feedback mechanisms. I know if you've been listening to this show for the last we're over 80, 90 episodes, so it's 2 years. Yeah. If you're listening to this series, then you know that I'm a big player in regular feedback mechanisms, right? You got to train your team. Your team is your biggest investment, right? Not the plant and equipment, it's your team, right? And what you got to do is you also got to analyze all of the customer data, right? All the customer data. And Belinda says, but the important ones are, right? Belinda, you want to elaborate on that? Yeah, I'm going to give you a little star. I don't know what the star is. It's a new feature, but I just gave you a little star. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm going to add you to the broadcast. There you go. But they are. So, Belinda, maybe elaborate for us while I take that. But look, being customer-centric doesn't mean the customer is always right, okay? But it does mean that they are always heard. Now, this approach helps you build a robust business foundation that supports sustained growth and success. Now, you know that at Growth School and at COD and our programs, we are always listening to our people. And it kind of sucks sometimes. Oh, the important ones are watching. Okay. Yes, Belinda, you are always watching. And that's why you're one of our star pupils that has gone from Customers on Demand into Growth School. And congratulations, Belinda. You are the first member of our tribe to be awarded the Blue Holy Grail badge on LinkedIn. Right? And I am so jelly, you have no idea. I have 3 community badges, but I'm that elusive top voice blue badge, and you got it. And you know why? Because you're a friggin' rock star. You really are. And we love having you in our core.
We do. Okay, well, this kind of feeds really nicely into my second question. We've been talking about the customer feedback and how important it is to get that. How do you navigate whether you should change your service or your product based on that feedback? How do you consider that into someone's personal opinion and a viable option to pivot your business.
You know, Simone, your questions are getting better and better every week, and you are obviously listening to what our customers want to know, but our customers aren't necessarily listening, and so we're giving away all of this stuff, right? Like seriously, like Belinda is here almost every week, and she's tuned in, and she'll be on today's coaching. No, not today. Today's Tuesday. There'll be a client teach that follows this, and tomorrow's our coaching call. But it's amazing how you come up with all of these wonderful questions that allow me to give away our secrets, and you know that I love it, so it's not an issue. So if you're listening, we need to get one of those Pantheon accounts on YouTube where you just start subscribing and paying for the content. But look, deciding whether to change your product or service is really based on customer feedback, and that customer feedback is a strategic approach that requires careful consideration because, as I said, the customer isn't always right. Okay,
Yeah,
customer
everyone has an opinion, right?
no, everyone has an arsehole too, right? So an opinion is like an arsehole. So you have to navigate these decisions effectively. And look, some of the steps that you can take, right? First, I would always say to people, determine whether the feedback is a common theme amongst your customers or whether it's the views of a vocal minority. Now, keep in mind that we are pandering to minorities. Right, we live in an era where minorities are making a lot of noise, and the conservatives don't bother to make any noise, and then the minorities are taking control of that. I think we're going to see a swing in that over time. I think people are getting fed up with minorities screaming louder than they're meant to. So again, you have to be careful because if you start to listen to the minority and change your business model to accommodate that minority, you may alienate 80% of your customers that are making you also 80% of your money. Forget Pareto's law 80-20 in that scenario, right? So that's really important. So significant changes should always be considered if the same issues or suggestions that is, are consistently raised, okay? That's how we look at a pattern. So what we do is, and sometimes it's actually even the positive stuff. So we'll do an end of event survey, and, Morgan always gives me an 8. He's never going to live this down. But Morgan's argument to the 8 when everyone else is giving me 10, it's like I've seen you present so many times for the last 7 years that I know what a 9 or a 10 looks like for you. And it's really interesting because he's so particular about holding me to account. And I love that about him, right? And so Morgan owns a biofuel company. He's a mechatronics engineer, just in case anyone's wondering. Right? So this is the detail. He's also a captain in the army, and get this, Captain Morgan, right? So the thing that's really interesting about that is because I know him, and I've gone and asked him, Morgan, what the hell is with all these 8s? He goes, dude, I've seen you give a 9 and a 10, right? And so I'm giving you an 8 because you could have been better. And I'm like, oh, that's so mean. But if I'd gone and made decisions based on that 8 without asking, right? And see, it's not a pattern because the others are 9s and 10s. So then I've got to go, but I always go back, even though it's an 8. Most people go, it's an 8, don't worry about it. Bullshit. If it's outside the pattern, you go and ask questions. So then what you've got to do is you've got to consider how the suggested change or feedback aligns with your business's long-term vision and goals. Okay? Now, for those of you who say, I've got goals and I've got vision, I say bullshit. Right? Most of you have not even got them written or on the wall. Like, I mean, my values are right here, there. Okay, that sheet there is a reminder to me, right? That's what it is. It's a pure reminder to me to live them and be part of them and to grow with them. Okay, so what about your goals and your missions? My goals and missions are written in front of me, right? Why? Because I have to constantly remind myself of where I'm going. Okay, so that I don't get derailed along the journey. So again, do not be derailed. If the changes can enhance your core and your core offering and drive your business forward, they might be worthwhile implementing. However, if they deviate you from the strategic objectives, then you should reconsider, right? Okay. Now, the other thing that it also that's important is to consider the potential impacts of any changes to your operations, to your costs, and to your revenue. Okay, and I always say to people, conduct a cost-benefit analysis. Now, if you're a small business and you don't know what that is, drop a DM in here somewhere saying cost analysis, and Simone will find you something that we've got. and we'll send it to you, right? Like we've got all of this shit that we give our clients, but you've got to actually physically raise your hand and say, hey, I need it, right? So even if you're not a client, put your hand up, we'll send you something. I mean, shit, we're in the business of giving shit away for free here, aren't we? So before rolling out any major changes, I always say to people, build a prototype or an MVP, a minimum viable product, not the most valuable person, okay? And so then you can test that out, right? You've got to gather and analyze the data. You've got to make informed decisions. Ladies and gentlemen, fuck people that just make decisions on a whim, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if you've ever met people that can make really fast decisions. I'm one of them, and you know that. But I don't actually ever make a fast decision. It's very informed because before I'm actually making it, I've considered sometimes weeks. Like people go to me, oh my God, did you just buy another business? Did you buy another company? Are you investing in this? Are you investing in that? I'm like, yeah. So how many investments is that this year? 13. And they're like, what? Like, how do you find the time? I said, half of them I've been looking at for about 12 months. Like, do you know what I mean? So, and this is only between, friendship circles where we are, high net worth investors, and we're doing angel investments, and we'll go. All of my mates go to all these angel investment events. I don't go to anything. I literally get told what to look at, and I'll go and look at it, and I'll investigate it, and I'll say, okay, cool. What are we looking at, right? And so again, I'll then do the data analysis, and a lot of the time I'm actually helping out these founders, even if I'm not investing, because what I see is all the holes in their investment documents and their pitch decks, right? And I have, everyone knows, I have a real love for founders, having been one some 80 times. I'm not sure I'm very proud of that statistic. I mean, it's getting better. It's getting better and better. But I think the key is, being an entrepreneur is a really hard gig. And I think the one thing that I love about entrepreneurs is that we are customer-centric. We are, look at Elon, right? Look at Jeff Bezos. Look at Bill Gates. I mean, you have a look at these guys. They are all customer-centric. I mean, Steve Jobs was all about the customer. What's the user experience, right? So make informed decisions, and then finally communicate it clearly. Okay, so regardless of whether you decide to implement the change or whether you communicate to implement the change, whether you do it or not, communicate with transparency, not only to your talent, your team, that is, your stakeholders, your customers, everybody, right? If you decide against making the change, explain why and how, you plan to address any underlying issues that may differ, right? So, in tech, there's a lot of examples in tech, and I'm not going to go into it.
If you did agree with the change, but it's not something financially or strategically right now, then do you also communicate that? Like, yes, I hear or see you, and it's in the plan?
Absolutely. The more that we communicate to people, the better the outcome. Okay, and some people. My wife always says that I over communicate. I'm not sure how that's possible, but it is, because I also think out loud. That's why I love doing these kind of things, because it's like me just thinking out loud, and I'm talking to myself. A lot of the time, I'm not even looking at you. I'm just looking at myself. It's like, hey, handsome, what's going on? So no, look, I think that the reality of it is, being customer-centric is really important, regardless of whether you do the change or not. You've just got to do the work. So consider the feedback channels. Have regular review meetings. Again, it's kind of like sometimes I just think I'm on repeat, because it's the same tactics that get you to great, right? So if you're good already and you want to become great, it's just you're only 2 or 3 tactics away from actually getting there. But those 2 or 3 tactics take time. And normally you need advisors and support and and whatnot. And that's what I think we do really well for our clients. And I'm sure Belinda will agree with us, right? So but also look at your change management process, right? Remember, no one likes change. We love transformation. Okay, so I don't actually ever want to change someone. When we do LWP, our Live with Purpose stuff. Which I actually have to just release to the world. I was looking at the folder this morning, and I'm just like, why did we teach this to our clients and then did nothing with it thereafter? And it's mind-blowing. Why? Because it's transformative. It's not a change. I don't want to change someone. I'm not going to change your deep enshrined values, right? Like we're going to evolve them and elevate them and find the meaning and purpose for you to live a more meaningful life, right? So again, that's the same thing. And isn't that our objective for our customers? For me, I want our customers to live, to have more meaning, more wealth, and more freedom in their life, right? Like that's actually what I aspire to. You know that. And that's what we as a team aspire to. We want them to see and to think and to seek differently. And that's one of our core values, right? So we live and breathe that. So it's not about change, it's about transformation. So look, by systematically evaluating all your customer feedback, Simone, and carefully testing the transformations that you want to achieve, businesses can actually ensure that their product adjustments are not only meeting customer expectations, but also enhancing their business's competitive edge and market relevance, right? And I think we can quickly just talk about what we've done at Growth School. Every change that we do is for the benefit of our customer. And we've gotten rid of certain things to add different things, and we've never kind of just kept stacking. People stack, right? You don't need to stack. Get rid of what's not working and replace it with something new that the customers think is going to help them, and add that in. And what it is then work to your own strategic plan. What are you trying to achieve? We want to create more meaning, right? More wealth and more freedom for our clients. So what am I going to do? I'm not going to keep making them come to extra training sessions. That defeats the purpose. That means they're not going to get any fucking time back. It's stupid. So what do? High impact training sessions on marketing activities, right? Every single week for 10 minutes. And then we do an implementation session, because their biggest issue is being accountable and then not going back to work and going, oh, that was excellent, I need to implement it, and then they forget about it. So we create all these extra little steps. There's no other training program that I know of in Australia that does that, because I don't believe that many people that want to help businesses grow actually give a shit. And that's why care is our competency. Now, I know that I've got mates. I'm going to be jumping into our accountability squad call with guys that I'm in our same coaching circle as me, and we all are competitors. But we don't compete. We are about to support each other. We're going to talk about what lead generation mechanisms work, what tactics work. Why? Because those guys that I'm sitting around a table with, right, and just so happens that they're all dudes, right? But which is the complete opposite to what we coach. It's all women, pretty much. But the reality of it is, we all want to help each other, right? And that's exactly what I bring and what we bring as a team back to our own business, is how do we help our customers grow and win, right? And it's not just about more money. Wealth isn't money. Wealth is wealth. It's how you feel about yourself, right? Freedom is not just about time off. Freedom for me is having 1,000 customers living my best life, right? Because it's going to allow me to do all the shit I want to do. Does that make sense? So it's meaning. I have an abundance of meaning. Every time I see our people winning, it gives me more meaning, and I know it gives them meaning back. When I see people who 2 years ago were struggling, who now are buying another house or another investment, right? I kind of go, that's winning, right? Yeah. And people will say to me, but you're not getting paid anymore. I don't give a shit. Like, I want to see my clients win. And as long as they're winning, they stay, right? And that's the objective. It's my job. So again, I'm trying to give people that are listening a real experience of what that means to us. It might sound like I'm trying to pitch to you, and I'm not. I'm really just trying to show you, and this is kind of how we teach. We demonstrate through action. So I think that's kind of, I think I've answered that question.
Yes, that's awesome. I want to circle back for my third question, something that you mentioned earlier on in this conversation. And that is about the customer always being right. Now, that's a very old school saying. I have no idea who made that up. But I would love to touch on this with you, because I think there's a difference about a customer thinking they're always right and the language you use to communicate with them on their perceptions. So I'd love to ask you, Kristian, should everyone have a philosophy of the customer is always right, or something to that effect or degree?
My screen is gone. Oh, there we go. This big thing just popped up on my screen. I was distracted. So look, the customer always right is not correct, right? The customer is 100% can be wrong. Sorry, let me rephrase that. A customer can be wrong, and it's like anyone. I can be right, I can be wrong, right? Again, it's like an opinion. Yeah. But this philosophy, the adage, as I call it, that a customer is always right, has been a cornerstone of customer service philosophy for decades, right? Like I remember, some people may not know, but I went to college and studied hotel management and, becoming a chef too at Le Cordon Bleu. And you are taught continuously, right, that the customer's always right. And I'm like, mate, I don't believe in this. Customer's not always right. The customer's a dickhead. They're a dickhead, right? Like it's simple. And so I think that's what differentiated me in the industry. Now, when I worked for people, I played by those rules. But when I started my own businesses in my 20s or mid-20s, I absolutely didn't subscribe to that. I was like, no way. And I had people literally come and abuse my staff. And I'd be like, you're out of my restaurant. Get out. I will not have you abusing my people. You're wrong and you're ignorant. So fuck off. Right? And people used to say to me, you are going to end up with no customers. That's what they used to say to me. I'm like, mate, have a look at the lineup. Right? And it wasn't arrogance. I just decided to choose then and there who I wanted to work with. Because most of those dickheads have dickhead friendships. So I don't want those people. Right? And it's really interesting because a lot of people in the industry went, what are you doing? What do we teach now? What do we teach now? And I go back and I think to myself, I had no idea what I'm teaching. I teach what I teach now, but it's a lesson I learned then, right? Expelling people that did not belong in my restaurant. Same thing. We say no more than we say yes. You want to join our program? Like I'm always spruiking our programs. I'm a naturally born salesman, right? I love what I do. But the reality of it is we say no to protect our customers. Because for the sake of a couple of grand a month, I'm going to say yes to someone who's going to disrupt the entire culture of what we've created? Absolutely not. Right? That's desperation. Okay, so that's what we're talking about here, about the customer not always being right. They may not be the right fit. So this is the point I want to make to all of you. Blindly adhering to that mantra that the customer's always right will sometimes lead to challenges, including setting unrealistic expectations. It diminishes employee morale and your customers' morale and potentially harms your business. I've seen this happen time and time again. Okay? So there is a balanced approach that you need to consider. Okay? And one of I kind of always break this down to a few steps. But what you need to consider is that being customer-centric means placing considerable emphasis on enhancing the customer experience. Okay? Ensuring satisfaction. However, it does not necessarily mean agreeing with what the customer wants all the time. It's about striving to understand their perspective and finding solutions that align with their business values and our values, right? Remember alignment. And also as well as our operational capabilities, right? Yeah. I had a client who approached me last week saying, look, Kristian, I know that you deal generally with businesses under $2 million, but we're a business doing 7 and we want to go to 10 and we want to work with you. And I said, I'm sorry for the perception. A lot of my big clients are actually 10 plus million, right? And our biggest client is 54 million. So, and I've worked with people that are 300 million before. And I said, but I can understand your perception because we concentrate on promoting to the smaller players because normally this comes to me. And so we've got a meeting coming up for them to come and talk to me, but they really like what we've built at Growth School. And they're like, we really want to do that. Do you do that? And so I'm now currently looking, and you know this, at building, because I'm listening to our customers, and we're building Boardroom Elite, which essentially is going to be an exclusive group of 10 people. That's it. I'll be the chairman of the board with 10 sitting board members. All of them will own a business that has to be doing at least $3 million. And why? Because those businesses, whether they're 3 to 20 is where I'm going to cap that group, they have the same challenges, the same problems. And so I've had experience in that. So being able to sit there with them and reviewing their financial data. But why? Because I'm listening to them, right? But I'm not going to grab this person and drop them straight into our under $2 million group. Now, yes, will they get benefit? Absolutely. Yeah. But what will it do to the experience of the others? right? The $300,000-$400,000 business that is just getting their feet, they're making $100,000 a year profit. I know, 25%, right? If you're not making at least that, you really should be talking to us. But the reality of it is, it's kind of just moving people up that food chain. But we're listening. Now, am I ready to launch that? No. Have I got 4 or 5 people already? Yes. And the moment we get to 6 or 7, then we'll put the call to arms out, and we'll feel that. I know we'll feel that. We'll feel that straight away, because a lot of the clients that I know already are in that space. A lot of my one-on-one clients are in that space, and they're already like, hey, I'll put my hand up to being part of that. But again, they have different needs. They can't attend, a weekly coaching call and that. They'll get in dirty for 1 day a month, right? And work hard on that day. And then we create an action plan for them to walk away with at the end of the day, so they can roll it out to their team, because they've got a team that they can delegate to, and then they can wash their hands of it for the month. Then they can have their own daily huddles, their own weeklies. So for us, it's building the framework.
Accountability, right?
Correct, because we've built a framework. Like, when I was away in Fiji working with our people, they were just like, Kristian, you've got probably one of the best frameworks in the entire coaching and advisory industry. And I didn't even realize it. But over all the years of building companies, I built a framework. And I borrowed things from other people that I'm like, hey, that's really neat and cool. It could slot in here. It's like a puzzle, right? Yeah. And so the key, people say, so what do you really do for people? And I'm like, you know what? I do write market dominating, competitor crushing strategies. But you know what I really do? I help you get from A to B to C, C to D, and to Z faster than if you did it on your own. And what is that worth? And when I really think about that, I'm like, shit, that is exactly what we do, and we don't actually tell anyone that. But again, it's these conversations that we have, my ability to be able to think out loud and not care that there is thousands of people listening, and not worrying about what I might say that might not necessarily be perfect, right? And so many business owners are constantly worrying about being perfect, right? If you're worried about being perfect, you're going to fail. Right? I'm telling you now, you're going to fail even if you don't want to be perfect, right? But that's all part of learning. So you've got to, going back to your question, you've got to assess any impact on employees. You've got to create, what I call fair resolution processes, right? So rather than simply agreeing with a customer, right? If they're shitty, diffuse the situation, but develop a fair resolution process, which involves actively listening to people, validating their concerns, and working towards that solution. Right now, we've been very lucky. Just give me a second to answer that question, or this thought. I don't think we've had, in your time with us, which is 2 and a bit years now, I don't think we've ever had a disgruntled person. Have we? No, we've not had a disgruntled customer, right? And that's really interesting. In probably the last 6 years, then, I would argue that we haven't had anyone either, right? And anyone that's gone has gone because we've outgrown them, which can happen, or they've not grown. But no one has ever left because they weren't making enough money. No one has left because they didn't have enough meaning. Some people left because they actually thought they could do better without us. And the irony of it is, when I go back and check at those people, I'm like, so you are a few steps backwards now. And the reason for that is that sometimes people, right? And I forget what I was about to say. What bothers me about those people is that I care about them. And that's why I check up on them. And I still pick up the phone. Like, I called someone the other day and I said, how you going? He goes, actually, I'm doing really good, but I'm about 2 steps behind where I should be. And I'm like, cool, but you're doing something completely different. So he goes, and that's why I don't think coming back in, working with you guys is going to solve my problems. I said, no, it's not. And that's, again, me saying, no, it's not going to work, right? Because you can't it's not about money. It's about a relationship, right? It really is about a relationship. And you've got to build that level of trust. Like, I've got some clients that are 7 years old, that's a pretty cool stat. In a 6-figure client relationship. Yeah, you heard that right. 6 figures, over $100,000 a year relationship. And there's not just one. That's the key, right? And so when you sit there and you sit back, how did that get there? It was a relationship. It's trust. It's credibility. I don't have to give them any social proof. The results are in the advice.
Yeah.
And in that period, there's been peaks and troughs and peaks and troughs and peaks and troughs, but we navigate the process together. So, and that comes through that decision-making process. So it's then about creating very clear boundaries, Simone. Very clear boundaries, right? If you're in retail, it's about boundaries around returns and refunds and, say, service limitations. And if you're running any kind of organization, it's behaviors. Like every single intensive, you open up with our set of rules and behaviors that we want to demonstrate. Our members don't need to hear it, right? Yeah. They know it, and they respect each other. Last event we had 6 guest passes, and they all had to sign NDAs, and people were like, "Oh, this is great," and it's like, what? And our customers didn't even know that we'd done that. And then when we told them, they're like, "Oh, that's awesome. You really do care about our..." Absolutely. We want to invite guests in. They've got to comply to our rules, right? Yeah. And our rules and behaviors are there. And the beauty of that is, out of those people, they've pretty much all signed up, right? One's Boz, if you're listening, we're waiting for you. And you take your time, buddy. I really want you part of the program. I think you're an outstanding human being. But the reality of it is, when people then join, they feel like they're part of that tribe, part of that community, and they know because those boundaries are there to protect them now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So the boundaries can play to your advantage and encourage constructive feedback all the time, right, with your customers. More importantly, you know how we talk about training our talent?
Yeah.
Train your customers. And this is interesting because in our work, we train our customers.
Yeah.
Right. Even as a chairman, an independent chairman of a handful of companies, I love being able to share my knowledge with people. I'm currently shortlisted for a couple of larger boards in education, and I kind of got told that perhaps I don't meet the gender quota. There might be too many men already, and it really pissed me off. Because I thought to myself, since when does the best person not get the job? And that quota thing's been pissing me off for years. I do appreciate it. And I can say this because, Simone, how many men work in our organisation? 2, right?
2.
Okay. All right.
Three
3 with me. Out of like 70, right? How many female clients do we have? 81%. So, I'm all pro women, but women have got to actually, and not women, that's a very horrible generalization, but we've developed this culture that women need women to be more powerful. You need the right person to be more powerful. The gender war is brewing and continuing. I have a boy and a girl. I have 2 children, and I'm so blessed that I have one of each. Right, because I'm getting to see, right, my son, he's completely different to my daughter. They're chalk and cheese. My daughter rips out on the weekend, Pa, I want to play cricket. I'm like, what? I want to play cricket. I'm like, oh, shit. I'm like, sure. Lucy looks at me, she goes, you refuse Leo to play cricket, right? And he's now doing athletics, because I used to do athletics. And I'm like, yeah, but Lavender can. They now can. The girls can play cricket, right? Yeah. And she was watching the Australian cricket team with me because I love watching female sports. I love female football, AFL, WFL, and soccer. And so she was watching it with me because what I love about it, it's a little bit slower, so you can look for the technical movements of the game as opposed to I'm weird. I love watching the technical aspects of games, and so. But then she goes, I also want to play soccer. So now we're enrolling her for club soccer, and my son looks at me and goes, well, hang on a minute. I'm like, dude, you want to be in the school choir, now you don't want to be in the choir. You want to play club football, I'm enrolling up for football. You want to do athletics, you're enrolled in athletics. Yeah, but now I want to play all those sports. And I'm like, well, there's only one problem. I'm the only driver in the family.
I was going to say your weekends have now been taken over by sport.
Oh, look, Simone, you know how much I love being, you know how much how important family is to me. So, and again, I build a business that allows me the flexibility to do all that. And what do? Our team members, you guys, also have the flexibility to be present for your children, for pickups, for drop-offs. We don't hold anyone back. Why? Because we're fucking inclusive. right? And we understand. And yes, some of those things get in the way and they're distracted. They can be distractive. They can distract you, right? They're competing priorities. But when you understand that freedom and that flexibility is earned, not an entitlement, it allows people to live their best life. And I think that's important. Again, and that's us listening. Like I had a client this morning call me, and she said to me, she goes, Kristian, you know how we give, $2,000 for professional development to all of our team members? Consider there's 50 staff in this day hospital. And so that's, it's $100,000 commitment to us. Someone found the course they want to go and do in Melbourne. The course is only $1,000. Will we include flights? I'm like, why wouldn't we? Let's do that. They're allowed to spend the $2,000. And she was like, that's so good that we do that, don't we? I'm like, you're the gun CEO that came up with the idea. I'm just telling you, why wouldn't we do it? And that's the beauty, because when you work, and I work with Lauren now for 6.5 years, and we know each other that well. And we bounce. It's not an asking situation. It's not like she's not ringing me because she needs my validation. She's ringing me because she's like, hey, what do you think of that? I'm like, great idea. Just do it. Like, why would we get in the way of one of our team members wanting to learn and putting extra boundaries around the logic? Right? And it's the way we bounce off, and it was really powerful. And that was actually just in a text, because we had our now what we call our wake up call at 5:30 in the morning this morning, and where we set what we want to do, our intentions for the next 2 or 3 days, and it's just so powerful. And to me, it's a privilege to get to serve these incredible human beings, right? So again, it's train your customers, right? And people go, but you're in the coaching and advisory industry. No, train your customers. How do you want them to behave? How do you want them to do what they need to do? And I think, look, I think that kind of wraps it up. I think we've been going on and going. But look, what I want to say just quickly to finish that off, while the principle of prioritizing customer satisfaction is vital, okay, and please listen to me, the literal interpretation of the customer is always right is not always feasible or advisable. Okay, so you need a balanced, fair approach that values both customer satisfaction and operational integrity, because that will prove more beneficial for long-term business success. The other thing that I have to mention, Jody Hawkes, CEO of Bohu Engineering, last night was awarded a very, very special award by the Industry Leaders Fund, and it was the highest award that you could receive. No female has won it before, and I want to congratulate her. I've been sick. I might not look sick, but I've got a really bad sore throat, and my head is pounding. But this shit fills my cup. And I didn't go last night to the awards dinner. And Adrian Temple, who's someone I know quite well, partner at Thompson Gear, or managed CEO, he actually handed the award. And Jeremy, her husband, who's director of the company, actually messaged me. But Jody, I know you listen to these as replays. You are an outstanding human being, and you inspire me to be better every single day. And if you hear this, this is a genuine shout out. I'm so disappointed that I couldn't get there last night. I know there was an empty chair. I also think I noticed that Tom, our general manager, was wearing a tie. So I'm about to message Tom and go, were you wearing a tie? I never thought that I would see you wearing a tie. But yeah, I just wanted to, that's a real, and I'm going to do a shout out message later anyway. And Bohu Engineering also just won a Service Excellence Engineering Award. But what makes that company so special is they are customer centric, and they are internally customer centric. And, to see Jody being recognized, someone who, originally came to me because I was talking about imposter syndrome. 6 years ago, 5 years ago, she heard me speak, and then was watching our podcasts, and then it's like, hey, we want you to write our strategy. We're going to take a gamble because you are so left field for a 40-year-old family business that's in 160 kilometers out. I love working in the country. I've got a couple of other big clients now that are large structural machinery that we're doing some strategic work with, and and maybe that's my next jam, going out to the regions to support them. they have got work ethic like you wouldn't believe. And it's the values. If you're values driven and you align your people and you align your customers, you will prevail, you will succeed. So, Jody Hawkes, congratulations on winning the Industry Leaders Award prize and the award last night. It is people like you that motivate me every single day to just be better, right? And I think that's really important. Customers can help us become better. And that's when you're customer-centric, that's what pours out. So, and Belinda, if you're still there, I am challenging you. I'm going to get myself a blue badge, right? So I'm on. And you're going to run a hot seat within our group that's going to tell us what you've been doing every single day, because success and failure leave clues. Ladies and gentlemen, to you, Simone Lord.
Absolutely amazing. Kristian Livolsi bringing the gold once again. I always love when I can ask amazing questions that provide so much value to our listeners. So those who are live with us, thank you so much. We appreciate you all. If you're watching this on replay, drop a hashtag replay. We'd love to hear your thoughts all about, is the customer always right and being customer centric? What's your experience with customer feedback and how have you implemented or not implemented those changes into your business? So Kristian Livolsi, as always, it's been a pleasure and we look forward to seeing you next week on the hot seat.
Yeah, I was meant to be on a call like 4 minutes ago. I've just realized, crap. All right, guys, bless you all. Have a wonderful time. Here's the rollout.
Thank you for joining us on the hot seat. We hope today's session gave you valuable insights to drive your business forward.
Remember, every challenge is an opportunity for growth.
Every question brings us closer to the answers that can transform our businesses. Stay connected with us, follow our journey, share your thoughts, and be a part of our community.
And don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell so that you never miss future episodes. Together, let's elevate your business to new heights.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on the hot seat.